Shalom, shalom. I want to give honors and glory to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. This is another lesson for the Fiery Furnace Challenge. Today's lesson will be about unity despite differences we may have between each other as far as brethren in camps or whatever it may be. This is something that Israel got to understand, that at the end of the day, we know in part and we don't know in part, So there's going to be things that we don't know. We're not going to have 100% of the truth, as some brothers may think they have. We won't have that till we're in the kingdom, when Yahushua teaches us those things. Nevertheless, let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 9. Start out with that, It says, the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 9, it says, "For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect come, then that which is in part shall be done away." So, it's plain and simple. We know in part, and we're going to prophesy what we do know. We don't know everything at the end of the day. As much as brothers might think they know everything. And like it says, that which is perfect, which is what? Yahushua, when he comes, that part is going to be done away with, because what? We're going to be whole. We won't be in parts. We're going to be whole. We'll be done away knowing in part. He's going to heal us and teach us the whole doctrine. Nevertheless, we go to Genesis chapter 49. This is why we go to camps. We have unity camps, because what? We understand that we know in part. We prophesy in part. So whatever we may have in differences, we understand it. We understand at the end of the day what we do got to do, because we're holding fast to what we have. Nevertheless, it's a commandment to be together. Just because a brother doesn't eat seaweed, doesn't mean that you can't kick with him. It doesn't mean that he's not your brother. He's still a brother in this truth. Continue. Let's read the book of Genesis, the 49 verse 1. It says what? "And Jacob called unto his sons, and it said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days." So since the beginning, what? It was commanded of the sons to gather together, so that what? We know what's going on in these last days. It doesn't say go with the brothers that know the same thing as you. No, it says gather together with the sons of Jacob. And it's simple. Just continuing on, let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 36, verse 11. Book of Sirach, chapter 36, and verse 11, it says, "Gather all the tribes of Jacob together, and inherit thou them, as from the beginning. O Lord, have mercy upon the people that is called by thy name, and upon Israel, whom thou hast named thy firstborn." So, Israel got to gather together so that we could get this blessing. All this division isn't going to accomplish anything. Pushing yourself away from other brothers because of doctrinal differences is not sound. If these brothers are keeping the commandments at the end of the day, if they're being in order, there's no reason to stray away from them, to ostracize them. There's no reason for that. If anything, if they're keeping the commandments and doing what they need to do in that department, then if anything, there's more reason to kick it with them, because what? Those are righteous men. We gotta gather together, because without unity, we're nothing. Together, we're nothing. And what's that saying? It says, together we stand, but apart we fall. Because what? We gotta stand up for something. And not a single person can stand up for something. Together as Israel, we gotta gather together to get that blessing. A brother doing his job by himself and not with everybody else, he's going to reap the reward by himself. That's not how things work. It has to be as a nation that we come to this truth. As a nation, that we build up, because that's the whole goal, is to build up a nation. And in there we're gonna have sex, certain sects of men, a certain sects of belief, but nevertheless, at the end of the day, we're gonna be all Israel. So, we gotta understand that we gotta have unity amongst brethren. We don't have to be hand in hand, but nevertheless, we have to have unity. We have to have respect for one another, and love for one another, because the world doesn't have that for us as Israelites. Only us, our fellow brothers and sisters, have love for each other. So it's very important that we execute that and show unity through that love. So nevertheless, we go to, some people, they'll scoff that, oh, well, I thought 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 10 says what? It says that y'all speak the same thing. So is Paul wrong? I'm like, no. Let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians. First Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 12. It says what? Now this I say, that every one of you saith, I am of Paul, and I of Apollos, and I of Cephas, and I of Christ. So some brothers might say, I'm of this elder from One West, I'm of this camp, X, Y, and Z. But what? It says, is Christ divided? Was Paul crucified for you? Or were ye baptized in the name of Paul? I thank God that I baptized none of you, but Crispus and Gaius. Lest any should say that I had baptized them in mine own name. So it's plain and simple. Paul didn't revere the fact that brothers was moving like that. And it's the same spirit today. Oh, I was under X, Y, and Z. Elder X, Y, and Z. I know only this brother for doctrine, for the truth. Everyone else is not in it. No. None of us were crucified for each other. It was Yahweh Shah who was crucified for us, all of us. So once again, through that, we have to unify together, because we're all in the body of Hamashiach Yahweh Shah. Camp banging, all that, like Paul said, he says, I thank God he didn't build up any of those people. And it's the same for us brothers who see the folly in division. We thank God, we thank Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, that we didn't baptize brothers like that, who strive for division, who hate unity, when clearly the precepts say that we have to be together. Even if we do have doctrinal differences, we got to be grown men in this thing. Put that to the side and understand that we're our brother's keepers. Each and every one of us are our brother's keepers, and we gotta strive to do that. So, that precept is cut. Not that the precept itself is, but that superstition of the precept is cut. That's not what I was getting into. At the end of the day, we do teach the same thing. Keep the commandments and believe in Yahweh Shah. Now, when you get further, it gets a little bit, it slightly derails for some brothers. But overall, we all teach the same thing. Which is what? Keep the commandments, because that's what Yahweh Shah taught. If you want to make it into the kingdom of heaven, and believe in him, so that grace may abound within you. So we do teach the same thing. Nevertheless, we have different ways of going about it. Continuing on, we'll go to 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 12. Book of 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 12, it says, truly the signs of an apostle were wrought among you in all patience, in signs and wonders and mighty deeds, For what is it wherein ye were inferior to other churches, except it be that I myself was not burdensome to you? Forgive me this wrong. Behold, the third time I am ready to come to you, I will not be burdensome to you. For I seek not yours, but you. For the children ought not to lay up for the parents, but the parents for the children. So it's plain and simple. We gotta, what it's getting into is that we gotta see what all of us accomplish. See that brothers are doing the work, even if we do have doctrinal differences. See what that camp is doing, accomplishing, doing for the nation, and actually respect it. Put respect on their names. Some of us may have been about camp banging, but like Paul says, hopefully you can forgive me for being burdensome. But that, I'm gonna come to you for what? To you as a brother, because that's the same lesson I'm teaching. Same lesson that they're teaching, I'm teaching. That, even if whatever the case may be, those are our brothers at the end of the day, and we're the only ones who could truly love them for who they are, and we gotta strive for that unity to accomplish that. Once again, the world is gonna give us nothing. We have to stand together, to stand for Yahushua, to exalt him, because two is better than one. No one camp has 100% of the truth. Two, we have a better chance, at teaching the sheep, doing the work of the Lord, and fulfilling the truth, fulfilling the law. But, three is a bond not broken. So what does that show you? It shows that we have to have unity of some sort. It goes deeper than just individuals, 2 people, 3 people. No, it goes bigger than that. Precepts are 2 and secondfold, just like Job 11:6 says. Nevertheless, from there, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 1. It says, "This is the third time I'm coming to you. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall every word be established. I told you before, and I foretell you, as if I were present the second time. And being absent now, I write to them which heretofore have sinned, and to all other, that if I come again, I will not spare. Since ye seek a proof of Christ speaking in me, which to you word is not weak, but is mighty in you. For though he was crucified through weakness, yet he liveth by the power of God. For we also are weak in him, but we shall live with him by the power of God towards you. Examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith, prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Jesus Christ is in you, except ye be reprobates? But I trust that ye shall know that we are not reprobates." Because what? If we're in the truth, if a brother's in the truth, Christ is in him. Christ is in all of us. And like it says, you got to examine yourself. If you're about division, camping, whatever it is that you got going on, whatever hatred you got towards camps, maybe they did wrongdo you. But we got to be grown men about this. You can't just turn sour now all of a sudden and, never talk to camps at all, or never, strive for unity. You're just no different than how some jakes are, who hate their own people because what? All they do is rob, kill, X, Y, and Z. We really are those stereotypes. I can't trust a Negro. I can't trust a Beaner. We're no different than those people in the world. If we move like that, in that spirit. So that's why it says you gotta examine yourselves and understand that, and actually have faith that what? That Christ is in those brothers. Christ is in all of us. Because we're not reprobates here. We're all striving to build towards something. And that something is what? The nation. Teaching them laws, statutes and commandments, so on and so forth. So it's very important that we unify together. Keep on saying that. We gotta unify together and stand for Yahweh Shah. The book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 11. It says, and he gave some apostles and some prophets and some evangelists and some pastors and teachers for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ. So some of us, amen, some of us are just have different offices. We have different spirits, and so in that we have different offices in the body of Christ. Some of us are apostles, some of us are just simply teachers. Some of us are ministers, some of us are disciples. So, we all have a part in this, man. We all have a part in this truth. And and like I said, you gotta look at a brother's work, a group of, whether that be a camp or just an individual brother, you gotta look at their works and actually put respect on it. And shew respect towards them, shew love towards them for that, for what they are doing in the body of Christ. Because we're all doing something. Because like I said, we all strive towards the same thing, which is building up the nation and try to, for lack of a better term, try to get the hell out of here. We're all trying to get to the kingdom. No matter what way we think, we're all striving towards the kingdom and to build our people through that. So, once again, it's all the same thing. That we all have different places. So maybe your issue, or maybe another brother's issue is what? That they don't understand that. So understand that we all have our places in this truth. Camp, they may have a place in something in their works. Maybe they're just good at a specific work, and this camp is better at that. But we all have a place in Yahweh Shah. So there's just because they're lacking in something, but are excelling in another department, doesn't mean to ostracize them, or to say, oh, they don't know nothing, or to doubt them, whether they be faithful or not. Understand and respect what they're doing, and shew love. Tell them to continue doing their good works. Because we have to stick together, Israel. We gotta stick together in these last days. God forbid we're in Jacob's trouble, and here it is. I open the door, and I'm asking, are you WFI? And I just close the door. If you say no, you say la. I see your fringes. I see you're jammed up. I'm just camp banging. That makes no sense. Oh, you're an apostle? Well, I'm a pastor. And I just close the door. That makes no sense. So let's unify. Let's understand the importance of unity. Continuing on. Let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 11, verse 26. Book of Numbers, chapter 11, and verse 26, it says, but there remained two of the men in the camp, and the name of one was Eldad, and the name of the other Medad. And the Spirit rested upon them, and they were of them that were written, but went not out unto the tabernacle, and they prophesied in the camp. And there ran a young man, and told Moses, and said, Eldad and Medad do prophesy in the camp. And Joshua the son of Nun, the servant of Moses, one of his young men, answered and said, my Lord Moses, forbid them. Moses said unto them, enviest thou for my sake? Would God that all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord would put his Spirit upon them. And Moses got him into the camp, and he and the elders of Israel. It's plain and simple. They had the Spirit in them, and they did what the Lord had in store for them, which was what? To be a prophet. Some people are meant to be priests. Some people are meant to be prophets. Some people are... We all have jobs in this thing. And Moses understood that. The Spirit is going to lead you where it's going to lead you. It's going to have you with your gifts. You know, you making use of your gifts. That 1 Timothy talks about. So we understand that we all have a place in this truth. We all excel at one place, and, you know, love us for that. Show love to your brothers and sisters for what they do. You know, maybe they're not as mighty as you in the precepts. Maybe they're not as mighty in the alms as you. Maybe they do big things. Maybe there's like neighbor-wide, you know, community work. There's no reason to be envying them. Give them their flowers. You know? There's a saying that says that man isn't given their flowers until they're in the casket. So don't be like that, you know? God forbid somebody falls out the truth, and then you just tell them, like, yeah, that brother was mighty. Whole time you were talking down on him. That's why he fell out the truth. God forbid. That's the reason why he's out of the world. That there's no unity, and now he's just dead. For one reason or another, it let him down the dark road. It makes no sense. That's why we gotta strive for unity, so that it gives us that push to continue on and understand our gifts. It reassures us of our gifts, and that we continue mightily in the Lord's work. Continuing on, it's the book of 3 John, chapter 5, verse 5 and 6. It says, Beloved, thou doest faithfully whatsoever thou doest to the brethren and to strangers, which have borne witness of thy charity before the church, whom if thou bring forward on their journey after a godly sort, thou shalt do well. So it's plain and simple. We have to show love faithfully to our brothers and sisters in this thing, because we do well if we do so. We do well if we unify. You know, we put the small minor differences aside, and we actually build together. We actually build a community, build a nation. You know, every time you're around brothers, it's not time to be doctrine man. Well, this is how my camp does things. No. There's a time and a place for that. Just kick it with brothers. Show love. Show brotherly love to brothers. Show sisterly love to sisters. Show love to that sister. You know, tell her, hey, you're doing good. That was great food. I need that recipe, sis. Then, can I talk to your head? Build with the nation, man. You do well doing so. Unify with each other. We do well in that. And we gotta strive to do well. You know. Continuing on, book of Mark, chapter 4 and verse 38. Book of Mark, chapter 4 and verse 38 says, And he was in the binder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow. And they awake him, and say unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? And he arose and rebuked the wind. He arose and rebuked the wind, and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he said unto them, Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? So it's the same thing with each other, you know? When we look at other camps, we look at them as, you know, wicked men, wicked women. wicked congregation, why do we have so little faith in them? Like I said, everyone's doing something. Whether it be small or great. We all have a place in Yahweh Shah. We all have an office. So why do you have so little faith that, that they would perish? That they're not in this truth? Have some faith that these brothers are well in heart. Because what? Maybe you need that brotherhood. I don't know about you, but unity is a very beautiful thing. When I see another camp, and we're doing camp together, or we're doing something together, hey, it's a beautiful thing. I can't wait for the day where it's just the summer. We're all fighting our demons, but what? We all come together in a cookout and just kick it. I strive for that day. I pray for a day like that, where different camps, not just the brothers I'm working with right now, laboring with. It's all brothers around the city. It's coming to kick it. That's a beautiful thing. It's a real beautiful thing. But you can't have that if you don't have no faith in brothers. You're just telling them that they're wicked because they're not on the same page as you. That's just folly. Have some faith that we're all keeping the commandments to the best of our abilities. Continuing on, it's the book of Luke, chapter 9 and verse 43. Book of Luke, chapter 9 and verse 43 says, "And they were all amazed at the mighty power of God. But while they wondered every one at all things which Jesus did, he said unto his disciples, Let these sayings sink down into your ears, for the Son of Man shall be delivered into the hands of men. But they understood not this saying, and it was hid from them, that they perceived it not, and they feared to ask him of that saying. Then there arose a reasoning among them, which of them should be greatest. And Jesus, perceiving the thought of their heart, took a child and set by him, and said unto them, Whosoever shall receive this child in my name receiveth me, and whosoever shall receive me receiveth him that sent me. For he that is least among you all, the same shall be great." So, you gotta receive your brother, man. Because through that, you receive the Lord. You receive Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahshua. So, we gotta understand that we gotta unify. Because no one knows what a child is, whether it be a mischievous child or not. But look what Yahshua said. He just pulled him over, said whoever receives him receives Yahushua. So it's the same thing when we look at each other. We got to receive each other with open arms and show love towards each other. We got to show unity with each other. So it's all plain and simple. Just show love to each other. It's not deep. You don't got to, kick it with them 24/7. Just, hey, man, just show a little respect. That's it. Try to kick it with brothers, yeah, but, whatever the situation may be, just try your best to, show unity. Show love to the nation. If you're an individual, like, hey, man, throw your salutes. Throw your honors. See another brother in the wild, hey, dap up that brother. Exchange numbers. Hey, man, you just earned another brother. All praise to the Most High. So we got to receive each other, because if we don't, we're not receiving the Lord through that. We're missing that chance to receive the Lord in that avenue. So it behooves you to unify Nevertheless, we go to Ephesians chapter 9, verse 13. Or 6 and verse 13, Salakia. 4 and verse 13, Salakia. Till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ, that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine, and by the sleight of men, and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive, but speaking the truth in love, may grow up into him in all things, which is the head, even Christ. So, we got to unify. There's always going to be a bump in that unity, and we got to understand that, unfortunately, that right now, there's brothers out there who are tossed to and fro. They go into the direction of every wind because they're not rooted in this truth. So, there's always going to be division, and that we won't have full unity until Yahweh Shah comes. But nevertheless, we got to strive to have that. That's no excuse. So, Lord willing, you have the eyes to perceive that we do need unity with each other. With that, I say, Shalom.